We have a Synchro pile action for you today. The Clown Crew is back and even access into more Blitzclique. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out more Oz contents. We actually get to see some of the early Synchro builds popping up because we have access to Junkmeister. Now, we are missing the most luxurious of luxurious trap cards, which we will be getting that will turn this deck into more of a powerhouse later on this year. But to kind of start up, I mean, the existing Synchro routes you're able to go down. Cool Tunes B2B does put the level modifier on your opponent, which can actually mess them up. You do see that we have access to Hyper Librarian, because being able to kind of toggle through and draw cards ends up being a nice little blessing for this deck. And I also do see, oh boy, you're telling me that we can actually play Zaylin in this deck, which is kind of cool. Honestly, though, the Synchro power level of your end board with this list is a little bit lower than just chuck giant boss monster, you know. We're using things like Shen to put up a floodgate, Zaylin to do controlled negates, B2B to level modify and punish the opponent, and then, you know, Crystal Wing with, you know, Dissipator shenanigans to kind of have that be our end board to be able to work, which I think is what you kind of have to do. Until we get help from the rest of the Synchro archetype, I think that's something that we kind of have to consider. Now, obviously, we do have Enchantress and access to the Griffin Rider, which can make getting, you know, into Junk Speeder a little bit easier, because, you know, just having access to do the fun stuff with that is really, really fun, because gotta love having a level 4 token that we can just speed on through. But truthfully, outside of that, this list is just extremely low to the ground, making use of the current TCG pool of Synchro monsters to genuinely probably get you some of the better results that you can get right now. And that's kind of nice. Next up here, we have another one. That's right, there were two of these. This list is actually choosing to play the Assault Mode Activate shenanigans so that we can actually get to a Stardust Dragon Assault Mode. Now, Stardust Dragon Assault Mode being an end board piece, cool. Actually helps quite a lot with this deck. It was probably something that we definitely needed to be seeing, because all things considered, I mean, once again, let's look at your options down here. I see we're playing Giga Trishula to bring out other Trishula. I guess that's not a terrible idea. This list is choosing to play the Stardust Cypher Dragon, which is also not incredibly terrible. Stardust Cypher being a decent end board piece is kind of nice. It's also not like, you know, we're doing the Crimson Dragon Dissipator plays. It's crazy to me that, like, this has become one of the easier ideas to incorporate into these Synchro decks, you know. It's like, oh, hey, you know, having the dragon bounce off to get access into this ends up being just fine. Also, shout out to Zaylin, man. Zaylin not only seeing more play in the Synchro pile decks, it's nice to see this card taking a step away from the Cool Tune decks and actually kind of showing that, you know, it's a little bit more diverse of a card. More options is not necessarily a terrible thing when it comes to these particular lists. I also do like the fact that this list is playing Forbidden Crown in it. Forbidden Crown being a option that we can actually kind of use defensively and offensively in this deck is really good. I mean, hey, locking your opponent on one monster, or, you know, making sure that, you know, your big boss monster ends up being able to stick around has its own value within these matchups. Also, you do see, yes, we are playing the Junkmeister, the one Junk Armor, and of course, I see this list also chose to go with the Overtunings as well, which I think is fine. And of course, you know, E-Telly to bring out the Side Reflector. Gotta love the absolute best value you can get in the list. Next up here, Chonky Daddy Sphere modes coming to town. So the Clown Crew deck is pretty much an anti-meta buster at this point in time. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that, you know, this deck is like massively crazy, powerful, you know, broken, but it does get its advantages. You know, you're able to set up some massive draw power, interruptions, and, you know, if your opponent thinks that they're going to have a good time, you know, you set up Bianca Vasio and then deploy the Sphere Mode over their field during their turn. Sphere Mode is not only a card that we can use on our turn, but we go back to the point here. Bianca Vasio giving you that ability to perform once returned during your opponent's main phase. After this effect resolves, tribute summon one monster. You get the ability to tribute that sphere mode to do the board breaker shenanigans during their turn. That's the reason why people were even looking at this card in the first place, because getting to do the haha funny with that is really good. We also do get to see, yes, Dimensional Fissure is present in this list. As much as I want to be like, maybe you could play without this, I don't really feel like you can. I think we live in an era right now where Dimensional Fissure is just kind of that important. You have to kind of take your consensus right now that pushing floodgates onto the field and forcing your opponent to lose their banish, or, forcing the opponent to get things banished is more worth it to you overall than anything else. So that's pretty good. Yes, we are also citing the big Wicked Avatar as well. Being able to slap this thing on the field and just turn off things that the opponent is going to try to do for the next couple turns is really, really detrimental. Also, it itself is always going to be 100 bigger than things. Yeah, Wicked Avatar ends up being a very, very, very fun and interactable card within the deck space. I definitely do not want to see this card ruining days, because it shouldn't be allowed, but it is. Next up, we get to see the Elf Note pile. Now, current Elf Note, June Pride is going to be added into this pool now that this deck is legal, and it should be making this deck, I want to say, massively more consistent. And obviously, when you look at the current existing pool here, I do see that this list is, it's got a pretty extensive dedication to the pool down here of tools for you to access for the branded package, which I don't think is necessarily terrible. Also, let's call it what it is, Alba Lenitus being one of the freest board breakers, being able to be a contact fusion, not contact fusion, does have its merits. Obviously, the board breaking presence on that thing is incredibly useful. I also do see, obviously, we're just playing the one copy of Ginaldo. This card's not incredibly useful. We're also only playing one Metis the Purith in this list. He just comes up in certain situations. Like, he gets the job done. In terms of the current Elf Note success rate, I mean, this is about as good as it gets, right? Obviously, you slot in the June Pride, maybe cut something from the existing pool of things for you to work with. I feel like you have a little bit too much access to these tools in here. I guess you don't even play Super Poly to really get the maximum value out of slotting in this many targets, man. Cutting one of these, I think, would be the best way to get June Pride into this list. Also, you are playing the Crossout. Definitely a cute little tech choice. Also, only 2 Fallen and Virtuous. For this amount of stuff, you really would have figured that they would have tried to go a little bit more to the extreme just to fulfill this. 43 cards, I guess, was a little bit too much of a tall order to perfect this list, but okay. That is one possibility on Elf Notes. And then we get to see more Blitzclique. This is the Rizal variant. We've been seeing more talk with the Rizal variant. I don't hate this, all right? I do want to point that out. I think having access to the Rizal cards does make the deck a little bit more consistent. It's just, you got to make your concessions with, what's the right amount of cards to push into this list. Do I want to go a 1-1-1 package on this, or do I want to maximize it, actually hit the 2-2-2 route here to be able to get this? You're also obviously playing 7 Tachyon within the deck. This is to ensure that you'll be able to get to those bigger points on arrival. And of course, we do have access to Fallen and Virtuous in here. It's kind of more of that that end board piece. Also love the fact that, they have to play 106 as their bridge, which is kind of interesting to get into the Blitzclique stuff, but I mean, you make the choices that you have to make in order to, get this deck to work. But overall, definitely interesting choices in some of these builds. Obviously, I think the Synchro piles are some of the most innovative that I've seen. I like the idea that people are trying out the Synchro decks. The fact that we're even getting results right now on the Synchro decks is really, really nice. And it shows that, people are wanting to try out different things, and obviously more of that push towards those new options is actually really, really good. So what do you guys kind of think about everything here? Please, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here in a day, guys. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.